Hello everyone, and thank you so much for tuning into the Psycho-Isen USA YouTube channel. Today we are covering the 10th Shinkisen USA Qualifiers. Shinkisen is a title match that will be using red 5s plus Oka and Uma. We hope you will continue to watch with us all the way till the very end. My name is Ichika SHIRAKAWA, and I will be your MC today. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. Let me introduce today's commentary, Psycho-Isen USA B-Leaguer, Matthew Pro! Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu.
So Matthew, this is a rare Psycho-Isen official rule set that actually uses red 5s. What is your opinion on red 5s?
I'm a little bit conflicted about having red 5s in a game. So on one hand, it definitely produces more exciting games. We would probably see more dramatic comebacks just given by how many points you can get from those red doors. But on the other hand, it does make it a little bit more unpredictable, a little bit, maybe you need a little bit more luck than usual to get your hands when, for example, you think someone has just a Tanyao hand, but in fact he has 3 red 5s, and that does change your plans a little bit. And so, yeah, a little bit conflicted about having red 5s, but definitely probably very exciting.
Definitely exciting. We would have to watch out for those open hands a lot more than we would in our regular Psycho-Isen League. And now, first of all, I would like to have a brief explanation about what this Shinkisen is. Shinkisen is a title match that was established in 2016. The name of the title match is coming from the president and vice president of the time of the establishment. One kanji character from Kiyoshi Mitsu, the current Psycho-Isen president, and one kanji from Masateru Kaneko. Since the 8th tournament, all stages started to use the red 5 rule set. The person who becomes the first Shinkisen USA qualifier winner will go to Japan to have the chance to compete in the main matches to become the 10th Shinkisen champion. I would like to go and introduce the 4 players playing in the finals today. Our starting dealer sitting east in Game 1 is TRAN from Northern California. He just passed the 51st season second half protest, and Shinkisen was one of the first titles he wanted to win as a member of Psycho-Isen. Matthew, do you have any impressions about Jeff?
Yeah, I think I played against Jeff in the CRMA finals 1 or 2 years back then, and he gave me the impression of being very persistent. I think he tries not to fold too easily and tries to fight with his hand until the very end. So I think we're probably going to see some more pushing and just more resilient gameplay from Jeff.
I absolutely agree with that statement. Next, sitting south, is Rizeng ZHENG from Seattle. He is currently in the Psycho-Isen USA A-League and joined in the 49th season second half protest. He participates in many tournaments and wins many tournaments throughout the US, and it will be very interesting to see how he plays today. Matthew, do you have any impressions about Rizeng?
Yeah, I played against Rizeng so many times, both in official games and sometimes even at home. He is a very, very difficult opponent to play against. He doesn't fold easily against people's Riichi, always finding ways to counterattack, and sometimes it's not surprising to see him just win a hand out of nowhere where everyone was thinking the game is heading towards a draw.
Sitting west is Kaden CHOU from Wisconsin. He's a California native and recently joined the Psycho-Isen USA during the 51st season first half protest. And fun fact, he is one of the tallest members of Psycho-Isen USA at 6'3". Matthew, do you have anything to say about Kaden?
I'm jealous of his height, I guess. Well, but I mean, Kaden gives me the impression of being a very balanced player. He plays very efficiently, and he knows very well when the hand is just simply not coming together and it's time to switch to defensive mode.
Agreed. And last but not least, sitting north will be SRIVASTAV from Northern California. He joined Psycho-Isen USA in the 49th season second half protest and has been studying Japanese and is able to communicate in Japanese to Japanese pros, so he would like to go and play more events in Japan in the future. Matthew, have you played against Jay a lot recently?
Not recently, but I played like 1 game, I think, against Jay probably 2 years ago, also in CRMA, and so I would be very curious to see how he plays now. Do you have any updates on his play style?
Honestly, I think Jay is also a very balanced player, very efficient, and I think we will see him try to confirm all of his shapes before starting to keep safe tiles in his hands. So these 4 players will be playing 2 no time limit Hanchans. We thank you for your patience, and we will go ahead and move on to the game. We hope you enjoy and stay till the very end. Here is Game 1 of the 10th Shinkisen USA Qualifiers. And game one has officially started. Once again, we have Jeff as our first dealer, and Dora is the 9 of characters.
Does it look like anyone looks more nervous than usual here?
Honestly, I think they just all look so nice and professional.
That's good to hear. Okay.
So far, very standard cuts, cutting non-connecting terminals or honors.
Right, and it seems to me that Jay's shape is probably slightly better than others. But the starting hands for everyone seems to be fairly close in terms of, oh, the 7-pin.
Excellent draw from Rizeng. Yeah, drawing immediately a floating 8-pin into a 9-pin and then filling that 7-pin Hanchan. That's some good wall drawing. However, Jeff does have the callable Hatsu Yakuhai if he would like to make a quick repeat and just win 1,500 points, potentially 2,900 if he does get the 9 Mandora.
Yeah, it's a slightly difficult decision whether to call the Hatsu at this point, because the shapes aren't exactly the best, and we can probably see chances for reach as well as somewhere in a borderline case. But the 6-pin draw does actually provide more flexibility with the Anko there. Oh.
That 8-mon pair makes Dora a little bit hard to use in Kaden's hand. And Jay over here having 3 pairs, but one of them is the 6-6-7-7, so potentially Ipeco. It could be shifted depending on the other draws.
Right. Let's see here if Jeff decides just to cut the 4-pin for efficiency. Potentially dropping the 8-so, 9-so in the very near future.
Pairing up the 5-mon for Kaden.
Seems like the number of pairs is also increasing for everyone.
Jay did draw Dora, but did decide to cut it right back, as it would lose him Tanyao, and it would be hard to connect considering he currently has a Ramen shape, a 2-sided weight, but it would be changed to a Hanchan shape just on the 8-mon.
Right. It's also interesting that he decided to cut the 2-pin here, dropping the Ramen on the 1-pin that is cut twice. Here, Jeff consolidating maybe with the 7-pin.
9-so can also be read as a little bit safer of a tile to hold, considering you have 2 of the 8-sos for later play.
Oh, that's perfect. But now even 5-6-7 Sanshoku is on the horizon.
And Jay will be cutting that 6-6-7-7 pair. Says, I only really want to find 1 copy of this 5-8-so, does not want to look for 2. And I totally agree. Jeff now confirming what will probably be a final Champon weight or double pair weight at the very end by keeping a safe west tile.
Oh, this is not the Chitoi Tenpai that we were looking for, but there's also no future where he will con this.
Please explain your thought process on that more. Like, why would there not be an option to con that?
Yeah, because right now the pairs, if we're just shifting to Toy Toy, that's obviously, you know, an option. But it seems that going for the Chi Toy is simply faster, and so if you con that, you basically give up on that option. Especially given all the pairs that Kaden has are middle tiles, so considerably harder to call than usual.
Jeff finding yet another pair, however, this would increase his tiles to Tenpai. Discarding it, decides doesn't want to be waiting on another 7-mon.
Yeah, that's also interesting. That's like basically giving up on the Sanko that can potentially come with the 7-mon, but Rizeng gets it there first with the Richi.
And right away, Kaden draws a Shonpai Hatsu, or a non-cut Hatsu. It's a little bit scary since we don't know where they are. As commentators, we are aware that Jeff has 2 of them, But players on the table have no idea, and Rizeng could very well be waiting on that Shampon Hatsu, or even just a Hatsutanki for Chitoi.
Right, but Jay's Sanshoku does come together with the 6-pin Kanchan there. But the 6-pin is an Anko in Jeff's hand, so this is looking fairly grim. We have one more in the wall, I think, for the 6-pin.
As for Rizeng's way, I think there are a couple of there's one 5-pin here in Jay's hand. So I think one in the wall.
Yeah, it's probably a 1 versus 1 here. Kaden still pushing a little bit against the 2 Richis, but now 6-pin became Nakasuji, so luckily Jeff does get to Tenpai fast enough. So as the dealer, the optimal decision here most of the time really is just to push even against 2 Richis.
And it will be the Chase Richi from Jeff waiting 8 Sohatsu. It is actually a very unique situation when we have 3 Richis and all weights do not overlap at all.
Right.
Most of the time when you have chasing Richis, you will see some kind of overlap in weight. But in this case, most of them are weighting either Kanchan or Shampon weight. So there is no overlap.
Right. And it's like we're seeing 3 people in Richi right in East 1.
We are in for a very exciting game if this is how we are starting.
Yeah. Let's see who gets it there first. Everyone's weight is not that good.
Yeah, there is 1 Hatsu left in the wall, I believe. 1 2-man, 1 5-pin, and 1 6-pin. So everyone has about... and there will be 8 so. 2 Jeff, direct from Jay. It will be Dora, dealer, Richi, Nomi.
Yeah, but it's a huge win, even though it's only 2,000 points in terms of the win. You get also the Richi sticks there, and you get to keep your dealership. We got the Shipai here, if I understand the flow correctly.
Yes, it is. And I think that could be explained because this is the finals of the 10 Hanchan, essentially, they were playing. And because the other Hanchan were all timed, there was no requirement to Shipai.
Right, that makes a lot of sense.
So this would actually be the very first hand that it is, a requirement. And wow, look at that hand for Jeff. If that is not a Honitsu hand, I don't know what is. The only problem is you have this 2-man connection to Dora, and that will be kind of hard to get rid of.
Yeah, right now it's also a little bit like, it's hard to just go straight to Honitsu with the number of tiles he has, and without a Ji-high pair as well. Oh, Jay looking at the 1-2-3 Sanshoku right away with the Dora 1-mon. Oh no!
It's Schrodinger's non-Yakuhai.
Yeah, but back in the first discard, cutting the 8-so is also potentially an option, keeping the Sanshoku alive.
That was an interesting decision, cutting the 7-so there, Matthew. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I have to look at the hand once again and see. But now Jeff also okay, the 2-3-4 Sanshoku is still pretty much alive in Jeff's hand, but the Honitsu probably not so much anymore. Now let's look at Kaden's hand once more. So yeah, I think getting the 7-so just keeping the 6 blocks for now. But then Kaden doesn't want to let go of the 1-mon just yet.
Jeff finding a 2-so connecting to this 3-4-so. So once again, potentially a very quick Richi Tanyao.
Getting the 6-pin here is also quite interesting. Another option would be the 4-mon.
Or the 1-mon.
Yeah, or the 1-mon, although the 1-mon is the Dora. So if you cut the 4-mon, you are more locked into the Dora Tanki in the end to give you more points.
Here Rizeng draws the Dora and also decides to keep it. Also 1 away from a Ipeko shape, needing the 7 show. And Jay's 1, 2, 3 Sanchoku still coming together, and he has found one of the elusive red 5s that make this rule set extra unique.
Right. So Jeff there still looking for some improvements in his shape, letting go of the safer Hatsu. So Kaden here, probably not worth it anymore to give up on the Hanchan here, so cutting the 4-mon, still keeping the Dorotanki alive. Yeah, we'll see how this 8-so goes. Jeff has been keeping that, I think, since the start.
If you are determined to use Dora here as Kaden, it is likely time to cut this 4-pin, 2-pin Hanchan.
Yeah, it can be, but also the 4-so is also a potential option, although that obviously does, when you drew into the 3-6 mon, that does mean you have to say goodbye to the Dora. But then, yeah, here we'll see the double Hanchan.
Kaden now waiting 2-mon or 7-mon. 7-mon will require him to get rid of this Dora.
Okay, Jeff's pins is getting together with the Kutsuki Shanten very wide on acceptance here. Rizeng drawing into the very needed 3-pin. It's getting close. Everyone is E-Shanten on some really nice tiles. Except for Jay, who is 2 down Shanten. Will he take the Rishi here? That's not the tile he wants to draw on the 2-5 pin, but he is Stealer, and it's hard to find better shapes other than the 3-mon, so reaching here I think is the right call.
And this is exactly why Kaden kept the South. He felt that people were probably getting a little bit closer to getting into Tenpai,
right.
And as someone who is twice called, he has a lot less defense in his hand, so trying to keep the tiles he needs to keep his hand in play, but also it's time to hold some safe tiles.
Yeah. Rizeng still probably wants to fight this.
And we'll start with the 9-so pair, and this is now Tenpai for Kaden, waiting Kan 2-mon.
Oh, the 2-mon is Genbutsu now for Jay if he goes with the natural. Oh, that just happens at the right timing.
And it will be Chun Dora 1 for Kaden, picking up the extra 300 points for Homebot and Jeff's Rishi stick.
Okay, so the events that line up in the correct sequence and timing for Kaden.
And we are now starting to see a little bit of point differential between first and fourth place. We have 28,300 for Kaden and 19,700 for Jay. Still less than 10,000, so still less than a 1 mangan sumo apart. But when you start with 25 and with Oka being in this rule set, meaning first place gets plus 45 at the end, it very much heavily incentivizes bigger hands pushing against Richis to try and win your own hand.
Right.
We have Rizeng as his first dealer.
Kaden's hand looking nice. Oh, Jay with the Tong Anko and another Menza ready. Probably the hand to get him back into this game.
But Rizeng draws an incredible Hanchan fill here with the 7-so.
Yeah, Ishanten immediately. But Kaden is also in good fighting positions for this. Yeah, cutting the 2-pin there is also interesting. 9-pin is also a potential option in that case. Everyone's hand is quite fast.
Jeff drawing a red 5-mon. You know, we haven't actually seen that many red 5s yet, so it's sometimes interesting to see where they fall into place. Because sometimes you see all 3 of them immediately on high pie, and some of them are very deep in the wall. Another Hanchan fill, but this time this makes J Tenpai waiting Kan Tuso. For Richi, Ton Anko.
And Tuso is the Dora, but Rizeng's definitely going to fight this. Still very early in the game with only one Tsuji passed for J's hand, so pushing eventually is easy. In here, not a lot of defensive resources, but west, given that the hand is still so far away from Tenpai, can be an option. Obviously, it still has a lot of possibilities of coming back later in the game, but still directly pushing with the Tumon, that's interesting.
Jay did not hit the Ipat Sumo, but that does not rule it out.
Yep.
Or not, that does not rule out a Sumo, I should specify.
Yeah, Rizeng once again, not a lot of options here, just pushing with a 7. So for pure efficiency, keeping the fairly strong 4, 4, 6, 8, 8 that allows you to draw into anything in between 4 and 8 except for the 6 itself. Okay, and going full push mode, even though still 2 Shanten.
Another aspect that these players might be considering is if they decide to fold their hand now and they have one tile exactly they are missing, or that they can push, or that they can fold with, what happens next time?
Yeah, exactly. Especially like, this early, right? It's hard to keep having safe tiles later, and so sometimes it's just better off pushing. Here we'll see 6 pin maybe, still the 3rd Musuji in a row cut by Kaden.
Rizeng drew 1 of the deal in Tusos. Jeff has 2 of the deal in Tusos now. And Rizeng has kept the Tuso, decided that was a little bit too dangerous of a tile to push at this point. We'll probably look to draw around it. However, that will be a little bit difficult considering I believe it is Kaden has an Anko of 4 Sos.
Right. 7 So has passed, but then I think eventually we'll see Rizeng going for the 2 pin 6 pin, that is the Genbutsu. Oh no, actually sorry, it's not the Genbutsu. I looked at the wrong player. Jeff's hand suddenly becoming something, it seems, but is it still pushable? That's the question.
Oh my gosh, Kaden, miracle draws here. Draws the Tuso Dora, this very dangerous Tuso Dora, will not push it, but somehow draws a 3 So to connect it to his Anko 4 shape. So now he is also, I believe, Ishan 10, 1 4 So. And
right.
6 7 man.
And also the 9 pin, but then here's also moving towards Tanyao by cutting the safe tile on 9 pin. This is probably not going to end that easily.
And Rizeng is now realizing it was Chitoy all along, drawing a pair of 6 So and 7 So earlier.
Right, and now 4 pin is the Genbutsu for J. And yeah, the crux of this hand is still 2 So. That's something you cannot play around. Or like, you can't just ignore.
And I believe Jeff has found a few too many dangerous tiles that he's not willing to push and will be folding out at this point in time.
Right. But still, Kaden and Rizeng still pretty much in this game. While I think Jay is now Junkara, he's the only person to have actually not drawn the 2 So since his Richi.
Well, there are no more 2 Sos left in the wall to draw for him,
yeah.
So it would be a little bit concerning if we found a 5th 2 So in the wall. Rizeng desperately wanting to find Tenpai, especially on his dealership.
Oh!
And there it is. This will be Tenpai waiting 1 4 So. Richi Pinfu, 4 So Takame on the Tanyao side.
Yeah, 1 4 So not looking so good just because of this Anko there. And in fact, there's none left in the wall, I believe.
Not after Jeff just drew that last one, so.
Yep. So this is 0 versus 0. But we'll see if Kaden can join in the fray.
Kaden is Ishan 10, but would need to draw specifically a Miracle 7, so. Oh, this is quite interesting for Jeff. Decides we are not going to try and push Tenpai here. We are just going to keep on folding. Extremely good self-control.
So 1 mon is safe, but the problem is this 2 mon. If we want to fight any further, decides to not play this game anymore, so it's probably going to head towards a draw.
With both with all 1, 2 Forsos being in players' hands and none left in the wall, it is very certain to go into a draw with only 2 people Tenpai.
Right.
And Haite is the red 5, so very exciting. And that's what we mean with some of these reds being so far in the wall. Jay, a little bit sad that he didn't get his Dora Simul, but with it being Hanchan on the Dora tile, it really does have to be Simul only. It's very unlikely other players will be just cutting Dora into your Ichi.
But then Rizeng does get to keep his dealership, being persistent, keeping the 2-so Dora and playing around it, cutting on the pins side, and eventually actually drawing into the miraculous 3-so, although obviously 1 4-so, as we know from our perspective, is not a good weight. From this angle, you can see like Hayden's hand doing so well.
Oh, very good first draw for Rizeng here, filling in that 1, 2, 3 shape.
Yep.
Potential Itsu actually just needs a 6-pin and 8-pin.
Yep. As we said, Kaden's hand looking pretty neat. Four pairs.
Would you commit to Chitoi so early on?
I don't think so. Most likely, just play it out and see.
And Rizeng is now considering, we have the 6-pin, Itsu is alive, but so is potentially Honitsu or Chinitsu, depending on what the next few draws are.
Right. Jay has all his blocks, we'll see how this goes. Okay, the Haku cutting the Haku here does weaken the Chitoi a little bit, just because it's such a nice tile. Rizeng caught in a fairly difficult situation here, is still looking at the Honitsu, doesn't want to give that up so easily, especially if he can pair the Otakaze Nan here.
Looking at Chitoi, it is one of the few ways that Dora can be incorporated into the hand without having a Anko. You can Richi waiting on Dora with only 1 copy.
Right. Oh, sorry, the Haku that Jeff discarded a while ago. Was it like a second? Oh, it might be the second or the third copy. But now with the 2-so draw, Chitoi becomes less attractive.
And another Pinzu for Rizeng. It is commitment time very soon. If he draws the 5-8, so I think we will be locked in on that shape. It is a little bit too late. Even though it's the first row, it's still a little bit too late to cut a completed shape. But any other Pinzu draw, you could be convinced.
Yeah, if it's the 8-pin especially, we'll see probably cutting the 6-so, 7-so.
And Kaden finding 1 south, hoping to pair it up for his pair. And Jay finding the very last Haku, I believe, and keeping it as a safe tile.
Right. Now Jeff can transition back into the normal shape hand by cutting the 4-so here, but then the 9-mon still meaning that he wants to look at Chitoi at the same time.
Jeff is a known Chitoi lover, so he will be keeping that option open for as long as possible.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad decision at all. Those shapes can be hard to fill. Chitoi Ishanten, but then 3 mon is natural here, also shifting to Tanya potentially if he gets 5 mon or 8 mon Anko.
Unfortunate for Rizeng, it was 3 Tsumogiri tiles in a row. Still, so far, no Pinzu to help him.
Right.
Oh, and
Tenpai.
we found Chitoi Tenpai. Will he Richi? Or it will just be Damaten on Tuso, perhaps waiting for a better Chitoi wait?
Right.
Or Dora.
Tuzo doesn't actually seem all that bad from the discards from other players, so it's also conceivable to just reach here, but there's nothing bad about waiting for a better tile, at least for the time being. Oh!
This is an incredible draw for Rizeng here.
This gets a little bit complicated. Cutting the 9-pin gives you the Pinku, Liamen, Sanmen, perfect Ishanten. But then if you cut 6-so, 7-so here, that gives you options to call. Cutting the 6-pin means he wants to keep also Itzu alive.
Deciding that it is worth it to take the higher tile acceptance and going to take the 5-8 now that he has paired up Dora. He's like, this is enough value. I don't need to force Honitsu as well. I would rather secure a better win rate condition.
Right. Yeah, that was not an easy decision, I think. Oh, but Jeff getting the Zumo before Rizeng gets to destroy everyone with that hand.
Will it just be Tsumo Chitoi? $800, 1600 is 900, 1700 for Jeff. But the value of this hand is way more than what is presented on the table as well. As if Rizeng got to Tenpai in his Sanmen Chan Ryanmen Tenpai, you would have Rishi, Pinfu, Dora 2, potentially Itsu for a monster dealer hand. And now we'll come to Kaden's first dealership. Solidly in second place here at 25,900 points. We'll hope to make the most of this hand. Surprisingly, a lot of small value hands for a game mode that we expect a lot of big explosive hands from, considering there is a total of 7 Dora at all times.
Right. Fairly slow start. Even though people are reaching here and there, but you know, in terms of the movement and points, doesn't seem to be moving all that much. Jeff trying to end this with a fast hand. He is in the lead. Oh.
Great fill here for Jay.
This 5-so Anko does speed up Kaden's hand by a lot. He does need the speed to keep his dealership in the face of Jeff's Haku call. 7-so. Very happy draw for Jeff.
We'll take the Ryanmen Ishan 10. Amazing 6-mon Hanchan draw for Rizeng.
Everyone is drawing into their slowest shape.
I know. And we also have Jay Ishan 10 for Itzu, needing the Dora 9-mon. Can't. Not quite there yet, but cutting the 7-mon, locking in that 3-6-9 shape, potentially.
Yeah, that's also pretty interesting, keeping the 8-so for potential 7, 8, 9 Sanshoku, but not only a slim chance of that coming together. Okay, keeping 6 blocks for now. Dora, not exactly easy to use, but it's also an option to keep it for now. In case you drew into the second copy, then you can switch the pair of your hand to the Dora.
Decides to cut it now.
Backfiring. Getting the 8-0, 6-0 there can be an option like the turn before.
Jeff Tenpai for 3-6 pin. Just Hakunomi, no Dora. There's the very potential 789 Sanchoku shift you were talking about, but no longer.
Yeah, it does hurt a little bit. The very needed 7-pin there. That would have given Jay the option to pair up also the 1-pin, 2-pin, or depending on which side he decides to keep. But this one does hurt a little bit. The 6-pin here, very difficult to keep.
And it will be a direct deal-in. Just 1,000 points, nothing too big. However, it will end Kaden's dealership, which is quite unfortunate.
All right, this is the ideal situation for Jeff as well, ending Kaden's dealership, as well as widening the gap between him and the second place by a little bit.
Yeah, points between second and fourth place are just about 5,000 points, which is 3 Han, right? 3 Han, 13 direct. That changes the whole placement right now.
Once again, from this perspective, we can be spoiled by Kaden's hand. Always looks very nice for some reason.
We open with 4 pairs here for Jay.
Yeah, interesting decision to cut the Chun here. 2-pin is also potential candidate if you want to strengthen the Chitoi later, considering you have 4 pairs that aren't super easy to transition into a normal shape.
And it will be the fast Yakuhai pawn for Kaden.
Yeah, also looking at Honitsu, given that he has 2 Yakuhai pairs actually, does give you Mangan quite easily.
It looks like Jeff will be locking in the 9 Mon, I believe, as the pair for now.
Right, also trying to get rid of the double acceptance on the 7 Mon. Jay here, not easy to navigate with this hand. With the Doridori, you definitely want to use both of them, but if you do move into an Ipeiko shape, that gets a little bit tricky.
Especially with needing 2 copies of the 7-so, and already being aware that 1 copy is the Dora indicator, so you are left with needing 2 out of 3 remaining. A little bit difficult. Could shift to a Tanyao. Oh, Mise High.
Okay, that's a Mise High. Okay, that does happen. So what you usually do here is to not touch anything and call the judge over. So we have the Tachiainin for this game, Claire, from the East Coast.
It is important to note that it will be the judge who will be placing the tile back on the wall. It is not the responsibility of the players.
So Jeff moving a little bit towards Tanyao, but for now it's not unconfirmed, especially with the 4-5-7-8 shape. And Kaden really wants to finish this Honitsu, potentially even Toi Toi.
And Jay will be confirming the Tanyao with that call and cutting 9-so, 9-so. His best chance of using both Doras.
Yeah, so they're completely giving up on the Chitoi. We'll see how that plays out. That can be a risky decision. 6-so and 8-so, both difficult tiles to call Pong on.
We see 1 8-so here in Jeff's hand. Also would like a 6-9-so to complete his shape.
Right, Rizeng's 4-5-6 Sanchoku does look scary, but we'll see how that one goes. Now Kaden is also faced with a difficult situation whether to continue on with this Honitsu, given that everyone seems to be having decent speed.
And it will be the north call for Kaden, calling into Tenpai, waiting Hanchan 4-so on the 3-so red 5-so. It will be Yakuhai, Yakuhai, Dora 1.
Right, 5,200 points is plenty enough for this, especially given everyone seems to have picked up some speed.
I believe there is 1 8-so left in the wall, if I am correct.
Yetadora 8 so still alive in the wall, while Kaden's 4 so has 2 copies left. Oh, he got 1 of the 7 so we'll see.
If he can call 1 more.
Yep, that can be a future. Although Kaden does have the option when he draws a 7 so to shift over on his way. Yeah, too much value at this point to consider folding.
And I believe that is not Tenpai for Jay.
Yeah, not Tenpai. Calling on the Kan 7 on. This 4 so might feel a little bit difficult to cut for Rizeng, given that Kaden has displayed so much value with the 2 calls. Oh, it still cuts it. That can hurt quite a little bit, 5,200.
Maybe considering that Kaden looked to be very Honitsu, did not expect a Sozu weight. But with the 2 Yasuha, you never know. You could assume it's Honitsu, but have to play safely.
Yeah, that can be a possibility. With the 6-pin being the last discard from Kaden after pulling the north, it does seem that he is building something towards the pin to the side.
And we have moved on to the south round. It is now Jeff's 2nd dealership. Kaden and Jeff neck and neck here, and then Jay and Rizeng also quite close. It is still a valid battle for first though. Anything can happen in forehand.
Right.
Or more.
Or more. So right now Jeff has the Dora pair, but the shape of the hand is not ideal. With 3 pairs. Suji pairs also. That's interesting. Rizeng with 4 pairs.
But also very callable tiles.
Yep.
So in Rizeng and Jay's case, would you be prioritizing winning quick, cheap hands to get to your dealership, or are you at this point still trying to build value to close this gap?
Yeah, I think, obviously that will depend on how bad or how good the shapes are in your starting hand. But in general, especially given that there are only 1 other Hanchan after this, I think here the direction really is to push for more value, especially also given that under this rule set, getting first is extremely important. And like if you have like a decent hand and you're just using it to gain 1,000 points, there's no guarantee that you'll get a similarly good hand on your dealership. It's better to try to get as much value as possible.
Agreed. We have a connection to the 1 so. However, that is just going to be a Sanso Penchan. A nice Anko of the 1 pin for Jeff. So if he was considering any kind of Tanyao shift, I believe that hope has been dashed with the Anko of 1 pin.
Yeah, and it seems that Jeff is also playing it with a little bit more caution, not dropping the Penchan over the 7-man that is there. 4 pairs now. Potentially Toy Toy, but 4 so, 7 so, both difficult to call as well.
Rizeng going Atozuke, waiting on the Hatsu. It is already once cut, so if someone does draw, it will likely come out.
Risky decision by Rizeng. We'll see how that plays out. 6 so is very nice for a normal shape hand. Kaden also seems quite invested in this Chitoi.
Very unfortunate pair of south cut, as Rizeng is currently double south. But it does not make sense to keep a twice cut south so late.
Right. there's no way to also sakigiri on any of those shape. You can't give up on the Doryamen. And here, taking the Sanko chance, that's the best you can get from Rizeng's perspective. Although Zimoing on the Hatsu will give him Mangan actually, quite interestingly.
Yeah, so we Zumo Hatsu Sananko, or just
Aka.
Sorry, Aka.
Aka. It depends on where that last Hatsu is.
And the danger of going Atozuke like this is that you are risking the chance that the last tile you need is in the dead wall.
Yes, that's the worst part of it.
Oh,
Tenpai.
Another 6-0 draw for Jeff. That will be Tenpai. Will he take the... He will be taking the 3-mon Penchan over the 2-mon 4-so Shampon weight, thinking it will be very unlikely that he would get a third copy of the Dora here, and in this case wants to play for higher win rate than value, considering he's already in first place.
Right, and also the 1-mon is all gone, and yeah.
Unfortunately, we do see 2 of the 3-mon here in Rizeng's hand.
Yep. The problem is whether Rizeng will push until the very end, given that you're waiting on only 1 copy of the Hatsu. Also, obviously, if he Zumos, it doesn't matter if he got the 3-mon or the Hatsu. But Rizeng has the option to fold with Hatsu.
5-so there was a little bit scary, a little bit dangerous, considering its connection to the Dora 4-so.
Right, and it's also not Suji for 5-8-so.
So based on that discard alone, if not the 3-so, because 3-so was also a Musuji tile, that you can definitely tell that Rizeng is still pushing here.
Yeah, so if you didn't cut the 3-so and fold it with the Hatsu, you would still be in Tenpai on the Dora. And so let's see how this line of decisions play out.
Little does Rizeng know that he cannot deal in, but it is always very scary.
Yep. Especially not knowing where the Dora is at this point. Kaden can't keep this Chitoi Shanten any longer.
I believe we see 3 out of 4 Doras. So I believe there is still 1 4-so left in the wall. Oh, and there is the deal in 3-mon tile for Jeff. Rizeng could not win on this tile because it would not be Sarango and it's not Yaku Hatsu.
Right.
And that was the last 3-mon in the wall.
And whether the Hatsu is still there. Kaden definitely not going back into Tenpai, and neither is Jay. That's 2, not 3.
Should have waited for the 2-mon, would have been able to Tsumon Haite. Jeff, where are your wall reading skills?
Okay, so Rizeng's Hatsu is in fact in the dead wall.
And that is the risk you take when you go Atozuke. I would say it's slightly riskier considering Hatsu was once cut already.
Right.
First turn discard, but sometimes that is just the risk you have to take.
Yeah, so I think Rizeng at that moment saw that that's the best chance he can get to use the Aka 5-pin there by calling on the Kan 4-pin. Probably not going to get a second chance on that either. But Jeff having an incredible hand
That's a beautiful hand that people would dream to see as dealer, having this amazing 4-mon floating tile, 6-so floating tile, and 2 complete sets.
That is when you think his first draw should have been like the red 5-so or something, but then the 1-so was slightly anticlimactic.
I was waiting for something amazing, like the red 5-mon specifically, but it was not to be.
Yeah. So the 9 here also. Cutting the 9-mon is also an option there instead of the Yakuhai, but obviously that gives him more chances of getting into Pinghu.
And we have Kaden now with this bulging shape. We have the 2-3-3-4-so, which is a really strong shape since it can essentially accept any tile 1 through 5-so, and with 2 of those tiles being potential Ipeiko tiles.
Right.
I think it is one of the strongest shapes in the game.
Okay, I feel like we have seen this shape in Jay's hand multiple times.
Jay has on record told me many times that he does not like to go for Chitoi. And sometimes Chitoi just keeps happening to him and he keeps trying to deny it.
Yeah.
And then it just keeps happening. So I think we might be running into those situations where the tiles want Chitoi, but Jay does not want Chitoi.
That's fair, that's fair.
And Rizeng calling the Yakuhai Hatsu.
Yeah, so it's hard for Rizeng to get any more value other than 2 Hans there. It's more important here to get your 2,000 point win along with the Honba and the Richi stick on the table. Jeff can't keep this Dora any longer. Every other tile is too strong to be discarded at this point.
Kaden's hand unfortunately filled with a lot of hard to use shapes, you know, a lot of middle weights and side weights.
Right, it seems that his hand is probably not fast enough for this battle. Oh, this 4-mon, so 6-so is natural here.
However, he, knowing Jeff, is looking at, okay, I have 4 pairs.
Thought about it for a brief moment, probably. The Dora pair.
This is huge. Unfortunately, already once cut from Jeff, but there is still 1 more left in the wall. 8, so unfortunately hard to use after cutting the 6-mon. And this is a value play versus efficiency play, I believe, but we'll be cutting the 1-so, really wanting to figure out how to use this Aka 5-mon in his hand.
Right. Kaden's cut of 3-so here is also interesting. Another potential option is 6-mon, keeping both the Chitoi and not really losing efficiency on there. Oh,
Jeff finding yet another usable Aka tile, and we'll be cutting the Anko of 6-pin to weight 4-7.
Okay, 9-pin is also, sorry, 9-mon was also a potential option there.
And we are all trying to figure out where this last tune is, and immediately
Nice.
Jeff is rewarded and can reach here, and we'll be reaching on the Shampoo weight 4-mon, 9-mon.
Yeah, although the fact that the Richi declaration tile being 8-mon does weaken the 9-mon quite significantly, having cut much stronger tiles before that.
Jay has 2 copies of the 9-mon here, but will hopefully be able to use that as his pair.
6-os come back.
Rizeng now deciding if he wants to push into this
It's
dealer Richi.
very unlikely. Probably cutting the 6-so once again here. Okay, Kaden actually fighting back.
Having Dora 2 in his hand, considering maybe that's enough to fight with. However, you cannot forget there are Akas in this game.
Right. That's the annoying, or, you know, depending on your perspective, the fun part of this rule set.
And it looks like Jay is not officially folding, but taking a couple of safe tiles. Oh, and there is the last copy of the Dora.
Yeah,
it is safe against Jeff, though. He has already cut it.
Yeah, but the problem for Rizeng is that Kaden's call doesn't seem that natural. Still cuts it anyway, but definitely feels iffy to cut it, knowing that Kaden is still in the game, still trying to fight.
And now we know why Kaden is still trying to fight. I believe this is Tenpai for Chitoi for Jay. He somehow made it there.
Right.
And will be denying himself Chitoi Tenpai.
Hard to fight with that.
So it will be the 2-5 pin versus the 4-9 mon.
Yeah, I think there's no more 4-9 mon in the wall. And so Jeff is in a little bit of a pinch right now. Okay.
Yeah, I believe there are actually quite a few 2-5 pin left actually in the wall. And there it is. I counted only 3 in players' hands, so up to 8 potentially in the wall. Sorry, 5 in the wall. And that will be the first Mangan of the game. Can you believe that? We are in South 1-1, and we are finding the very first Mangan. 2,000, 4,000 goes to Kaden for the Chundora 3.
That's huge for Kaden. Taking 2 Richi sticks from Jeff, actually. And also with a dealer penalty directly on the first place.
Okay, and now we have Rizeng's second dealership. We are getting close to that do or die time for players of making these hands be worth something in order to try and secure some placement.
Right. And Kaden with the potential Itzu there from the high flying.
Jeff pairing up the 7 pin.
Getting the red 5 man. Seems like Kaden is in a very good position to basically consolidate his lead. Ooh.
Wow, amazing Anko here by Rizeng. Having 1 Dora. Would love to make a Mangan of his own here to come back. A Mangan of his own, especially Tsumo, I believe would put him very close to Jeff for 2nd place.
If Izumo's on the Mangan, he would be close to, yeah. Also close to Kaden. Oh, the very needed Itzu right here.
Now we have potential Itzu as well.
Yeah, but Itzu, even without the Itzu, there's probably enough points. And given that the game is ending soon, only needs a win of any sort.
Especially with this gap between 1st and 2nd place, it is in Kaden's best interest to just keep the game moving and not allow Jeff to build these big hands to allow him to come back.
Right.
And Jeff is known to be able to build these hands if you let him.
Yeah, Jeff's hand not exactly in the best shape to fight. Kaden seems to be overwhelmingly fast with this.
I believe Kaden is Ishan 10.
Yep.
Confirm.
We need to find a pair.
Although the pair of 5 mon could be the pair waiting 2-5 mon for Pinfu.
Right. Right now, pairing up the 1 mon or the 9 mon would be something that Kaden really wants. Again, 4 pairs. Here, getting the 5 mon keeps everything alive. Also 2 so 4 so can be an option. None of that. That also does make sense given the double acceptance, and if you want Tanyao eventually, one way or the other, you don't need the acceptance of 9 pin there.
And Jay will be calling for Tanyao. For Tanyao double Dora, since he has the red 5-so, it will count as one Dora for the 5-so and 1 Dora for the red part.
Kaden's draws not coming together, drawing exclusively Pinzu, I believe.
Ooh, this is a very nice draw for Jay if he wants to extend his Sozu shape.
Right, dropping the pen 4-man there, actually. Here, Jeff has the option to keep going once again with the 5-man.
He'll be cutting the 5 pin instead.
So that is basically giving up on Chitoi.
Probably once the 8-so draw was confirmed, Chitoi became much more difficult to complete.
Yeah. 8-pin does come back.
Rizeng also not drawing very many useful tiles and has been doing quite a lot of Tsumogiri. Kaden as well has not drawn a tile that he has kept in about 6 tiles. Everyone is a little bit stuck with what the wall is giving them. But this is a very nice draw here for Jeff. Everyone but Jeff, I should say.
The 2-so does come eventually, so the 1-4-so wait. It feels weak just from other people's discards. But given that Jay looks to be working on Tanyao, oh, the Sanshoku shift here. So Kaden does have the option to Richi back there, but decides to Dama here.
The problem with this Dama is that he does not have a win condition. So if someone drops the 1-4-so, he is unable to Ron. No Yaku. However, he could also be considering the fact that he is very close to the Dora shape and would like to try and draw Dora or another 2-so to shift up from 1-4 to 2-5. But drawing quite a lot of Pinzu in a hand that cannot use any Pinzu.
Yeah. It can be quite a risky decision here to not Richi. But we'll see.
Jay deciding that lower Sozu was also a little bit too dangerous considering 2-so is Dora Suji. And has decided to cut his pair. His 7-pin pair. And Kaden will be swapping to a 3-so Tanki weight.
SJ gets to Tenpai here on the 7-man, but the 7-man is cut here, we can see twice by Jeff.
I have 1 7-man here left in Kaden's hand. Are we going to be Tanki swapping until we find a better Manzu weight? I see that as a potential option.
Yeah, Kaden not feeling confident cutting this 8-so because the last discard by Jay is in fact the 7-so.
And I believe that is no longer Tenpai for Kaden.
Yep.
Unless I am mistaken here. No, that is no longer Tenpai for Kaden.
Yeah, Rizeng pawning onto Dora, but actually without a Yaku.
We are getting to the last 5 draws of the game. So having a no Yaku Tenpai is still a Tenpai, hoping to get the maximum value of 3,000 points just for being in Tenpai at Ryokoku, but we'll accept any extra points at this point.
Yeah. There's also an interesting...
Oh, but it will be the Tsumo for Jay on the 7-man.
That's the last copy, I believe.
That will be Tanya Dora 2. With the Tsumo, it will be... I don't think that the food does not go over, so it will just be 1,000, 2,000.
Right. So there's also an interesting alternate universe where Rizeng calls Khan on the 9-pin that was discarded by Jay and giving him an extra chance of Rinshan there for the Yaku.
And now we are moving on to Kaden's last dealership. Scores being very tight, and this is also the chance where Jeff really wants to Mangan Sumo, hitting Kaden back for that dealer penalty of 4,000 points.
Right. But if Kaden wins this hand, it will pretty much solidifies his position as first place in this Hanchan. Does anyone have a particularly fast hand? The 7-pin does make Jeff's hand much faster than it was 5 seconds ago.
But still not fast. I would say no one here has a very fast and inspiring hand. Yeah. Everyone has to do a little bit of work. And in hands like this is when you see people start to build value, because no one has a callable Yakuhai. No one has an easy path to Tanyao.
Oh, but Rizeng here, eyeing that Hoitsu, there's no way he's going to win just 1,000 points with the South, given his point situation. Trying at least for 3,900. If he can get the Chun, it will be an entirely different story. Cutting the North here, that's twice cut, can be an option. Although 6-pin, 7-pin is definitely in his mind.
6-pin, 7-pin is the value play here, considering, however, Rizeng is not the west wind, so he would have two Yakuhai pairs, but Chun being Dora would be harder to get.
So keeping the North here, even though it's twice cut for Rizeng, is also aiming for potential Chitoi. If he manages to draw the final copy of the North,
another pair for Kaden, but I don't think that hand is looking to be going for pairs. Oh, and this is a upgrade for Jeff's hand. Can now accept a 5-pin to complete 2 shapes. And right. Finally, another Manzu for Rizeng.
Three-pin is very needed here. So Jeff here also has the option to discard the Chun early to prevent any funny businesses later in the game.
Rizeng cutting Haku after it's been twice cut, but now we can see potential Chitoi Honitsu actually with 4 pairs in Rizeng's hand.
Right, so that really shows the value of keeping this North from Rizeng.
Now this is an interesting shift up for Jeff because we could see a 3-4-5 Sanshoku potential.
Yep. If he manages to draw the 3-so before his hand is complete.
And we also see Jay going Chitoi, accepting that this is a Chitoi kind of day. And there is the 3-so.
He does draw the 3-so before drawing into the 2-5 pin, so we'll see. And the Dora pair! And now
Rizeng gets the Dora pair 1 turn too late to call Jeff's Dora pair. Timing is everything in this game.
Yeah, but then that still puts Rizeng in Chitoi Ishanten. Now this is getting very scary for everyone else, even though obviously they don't know that.
Well, they do know they can't see any Dora on the board.
Yeah, that's true.
Or actually, hold on, Jeff did discard.
Yeah, with the 1, but
it's still a little bit scary. We see no Aka. There's still 3 Chuns left to find. Because usually if everyone only has 1 Chun and they can't use it, as soon as one person discards it, it will be like everyone discarding their 1 at a time, so there's no chance of a Hellweight Chun or Hellweight Honor Dora later. However, because it was called, or it was not called, and then not followed and discarded, you could maybe assume someone actually has a pair and just can't use it as an Anko.
Right, but just now, actually Kaden had an interesting discard of 1 pin that gives up on the Sanshoku. Yeah, I'm not sure what to think about that. So here, having cut the 1 pin, that gives up on a lot of things.
But it will be Jay find the Chitoi Tenpai first here. And Rizeng having the best Manzu tiles to go for Chitoi. It was 1-mon, 9-mon, and North. But could not find one before Jay. And Jay is Tanki waiting on the 3-so, the Suji 3-so specifically.
Right. Now the problem is whether other people know that this is a Chitoi hand. Drawing the Manzu, one of those that he doesn't need right now.
The question is, can Rizeng push this 4-so, or will he give up on this Chitoi, and is it too late to switch to Toi Toi?
Yeah, with the West and South and Chun all cut before, pushes with the 4-so. So that means eventually he will also need to push this 6-so. Okay, dropping the pair. So Jeff can, cash in this hand with just a simple Tanyao at this point, given how late the game is and also that Jay is in Rishi. That maximizes his chances of getting Manganzumo to win over Kaden the next hand.
And Jeff has found Tenpai, I believe.
Yes, but then he cut the 3-so, that is the dealing tile for Jay. Hitting Ura too, that is 12,000. That is the worst situation for Jeff, but then it can be helped. He is Tanpin Tenpai, and the 3-so is Suji against Jay.
But that will be Richi Chitoi Aka Ura for Jay, 12,000 points, putting him within striking range of Kaden for first place and going into his last dealership. So this is the prime opportunity for Jay to take this first place. Now, once again, Uma plus Oka means the placement bonus for first place is plus 45, and the placement bonus for second place is only plus 5. So it is a 40,000 in-game point difference, essentially, just for getting first and second.
Right, and whereas on the other side of this game, Jeff having actually double south with 3 doors.
And potential Honitsu as well for just extra fun.
Yeah.
Why not?
And now Jeff is not just fighting for third against Rizeng, but actually potential first here, actually. Although a Baimanzumo is not enough to put him in front of Kaden, a Haneman Chokugeki also not enough, actually. Quite difficult here.
Somehow Jeff will need to con and flip himself more Dora.
Right, or actually, with the Honitsu in mind, getting a Hanemanzumo does put him back into second. Still anyone's game, actually, and Rizeng has to fight for this third place. This is the prime opportunity. So Jeff being rewarded with this monstrous hand after fairly unlucky South 3.
Jeff also committing to the Honitsu, actually going for the biggest hand possible. As you said, Haneman would be enough to get him back to second, but potential Baiman direct might also be enough.
Yeah, unfortunately Baiman though, if he hits Kaden just short of Jay, so it's a fairly unfortunate point situation given the Ura from last game. If it was just a 6,400 point win from Jay, the situation would have been very much different. But Jeff manages to call the double south.
And does finish cutting his 7-8, so looking to try to disguise that Ryumin discard with that 8-mon in between.
Right.
Not sure if people noticed that.
Probably not with a lot of effect, but still, Rizeng gradually shifting to Tanya, knowing that he only needs 1,000 points, and with basically no chance of getting anything other than third.
It is always a unique decision here. This is classic textbook Jeff play. He's in all last and trying to make the biggest hand, Gyakten hand possible. And I am almost certain he is thinking about what tile can I effectively con to try and get myself more Dora? Or is Rinshan an option?
Yeah,
to get to Sanbaimon.
I think here, getting to Sanbaimon, let's see, Toi, Honitsu, Double South, Dora 3, and actually potentially with Sanko, that's possible. But Rizeng actually here deciding to cut on the Liangmen here, consolidating Tanyao, but Kaden Ishanten from Pinghu that will secure him first. It's a race.
We do have a race here. Jay also, again, this is his dealership turn, still 2 Shanten.
Jeff needs to draw the circles.
It's unfortunate that actually quite a lot of players are using Pinzu shapes.
Yeah, that's true. He's not getting a lot of sponsorship from Jay.
Which is interesting considering the Pinzus are his worst tile. My thought is either Jay is sensing something is suspicious with the Pinzu tile in Jeff's hand, or he really just trying to utilize this Dora suit here.
Yeah, or it just happened that he didn't draw any Pinzu like now.
And still
not
no
coming together.
No Manzu, no Pinzu.
Yeah, but I think at this point, Jeff really is probably thinking about, protecting his placement right now as third. The 1 pin is not something Jeff can call on.
Oh, but that
here.
is something
now,
that's
that
good.
Does makes a difference. Now we can see Baiman from this hand. Rizeng's Tanyao consolidation does backfire a little bit, but
I actually do like
problem.
potentially cutting 4 pin here. 4 pin or 8 pin to confirm Tanyao. Although 8 pin is unfortunate because you would be losing Dora acceptance immediately, but I like having the 5-6-6 shape. Because if you get an Anko of the 6, you can still shift up with the 2.
Yeah, so Rizeng here taking the Furiten 147 Mon. We'll see how that goes. Jay here potentially cutting the 2-so first, just because 9 Mon is a little bit safer. Jeff with an insane hand, but time is running out.
Kaden also still not managing to find Tempai. Ryamin plus West, Ishan 10. There's one of the Wests that Kaden needs.
Right, but with the double acceptance, the 7 pin very needed here, although that does make the Toi less likely. But pawning on the Chun and cutting 9 pin would put Jeff into, I think, a 3-sided weight.
And there is the Dora for Kaden, also still Ishan 10.
Can't.
There's the con.
Oh, that
all right, this
spices
is
things up.
Oh,
that's not the
a
suit.
Pinzu. Oh, but does draw a pin suit, and this would be Tempai. On the 4 pin for double south, Honitsu, Dora 3.
4 pin looking extremely dangerous here. That would be 12,000 if Rizeng deals in here. The 4 pin puts Rizeng into perfect Ishan 10. I don't see another cut even if Rizeng knows that the Pinzu is dangerous, and he does cut it.
Right after Jeff gets Tempai, and it will be the 12,000 direct from Rizeng, pushing Jeff all the way into a very close 3rd place, but still 3rd place.
Yeah, this is such a sad point situation for Jeff. Even after winning the 12,000 point, the placement doesn't change.
I don't think it was worth for Jeff trying to wait and not accept that 4 pin though, and then wait for potentially Kaden or Jay to discard it. I think that's hoping a little bit too much here.
Yeah.
Especially when just getting that plus 12 points is very important.
Yeah.
And wow, what an exciting game 1.
Very, very exciting.
Very exciting
first game.
Wow. You know, we didn't really see a lot of big hands, yet we still had a very exciting game. Again, we had our first Mangan in South 1-1. So everything was small hands, 2,000, 3,000, under 5,200 for several repeats, right?
Right.
And we ended up with Kaden in 1st place with plus 57.9 after the OPA was applied. Jay at plus 11.7. Jeff at minus 12.6 and Rizeng at an unfortunate minus 57. However, again, with Oka being plus 45, it's still anybody's game going into game 2.
Yeah, it's very interesting how this game went. We have a very quiet East 1 where everyone seems to be, just within 10,000 points of like between first and fourth, and then moving into south, we have like back and forth. We have like Jeff winning hands and having a lead early, and then Kaden coming back with the Mangan Zumo after pawning on the Chun, and then there's this deal-in from Jeff into Jay's Chitoi near the end, hitting the Ura, but Jeff manages to recover a little bit with the final Haneman on the Honitsu double south. So very exciting south round. It's interesting to see how things played out.
It is very unfortunate, as we were saying earlier, that the 12,000 RON on Jeff's last southward hand was from Rizeng. If it was from Jay, you would see these point swaps quite drastically. It would actually be Jeff in the positives and Jay in the negatives if he would manage to hit either of them direct. And that's just the power of placement bonus. Even though with Oka, right, first place gets plus 45, there is still a 20,000 point difference between second, third, and fourth. So there is still a lot of value for just playing for that one placement. And we did see that is exactly what Jeff did. He played for that one placement. He was hoping to play for two, though. Any final comments about that last game, Matthew?
Well, I think everyone played, to their style, should I say that? And I just think, the sequence of events we saw were pretty interesting. I think probably the most remarkable moment for me was Jay deciding to reach on the 3-so, probably laying the trap quite early, keeping the 3-so in his hand, setting up the Suji trap on the 6-so, and it also just happened that Jeff, normally in a situation where you wouldn't keep a 3-so that you won't use out of nowhere, but because of the Sanshoku there, he has to keep that tile, and it looks to be safe against Jay, and so like you can say it's coincidence, but it's also just interesting to see the circumstances of two players maximizing their expected values, hoping to gain as much as possible from their hands, and in the end having such a dramatic outcome out of the South 3.
Absolutely. It's very exciting, and I can't wait to see what happens in Game 2. Will Kaden manage to secure his current first place and become the first USA Shikisen champion, or will Rizeng have some miracle Yakumo on hand to get him to climb all the way up top? There's more to see coming up.